As Barbara just said, this is a welcome to the end of the year with the Burning Bowl service. And it's a very special service designed to help us bless and release the old while planting seeds of hope for our coming year. It's probably my most favorite service of the entire calendar year, and one that over the years of my being in Unity has touched me very, very deeply. So I hope that you will fully be present to this ritual. But before we actually begin the ritual, let's talk about how this is a time of reaping a greater understanding of our inner world. Have you ever noticed that the time from Christmas to New Year's, whether it be the week or whatever it is, all of a sudden the world just kind of slows down a little bit. All that frenzy to get to Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the company, the friends, and all of a sudden it just kind of implodes, right? And you're sort of left with the cleaning up and the putting things away and straightening around. But there's also sort of a quietness that comes upon ourselves and our land. And I think it's such a rich time for reflecting. And I really invite you after this service today and throughout the course of the next couple of days before we go into the new year to take some time to really set aside time to just sit. No electronic stuff on, just sit and allow the listenings of spirit to be heard within your heart and in your soul. I think that the year end gives us so many wonderful metaphors that it's hard to pick one, but this year I happened to pick the edge of something. Have you ever gone to an edge? And I'm talking about a really great edge, like the Grand Canyon, for example. Or maybe you've seen pictures or you've gone to pictures of Ireland and to the cliffs of Moher, or the western cliffs, or the western coast, I should say, of the United States, where you walk up to the edge and it is the edge. You are standing on this huge, massive cliff. And you know, that is so symbolic of the new year, isn't it? We've got some choices to make. Now, as we stand there on this cliff that we're calling New Year's, we can look back and regret, oh, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, all of that. We can be stuck in fear. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know how it's going to happen. Or we can step forward in trust and in hope. You know, coming to the edge, if you hold that image of like the Grand Canyon in your mind or something like that, it's both it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you're anxious in the positive sense to see what you'll find. I mean, what's over the railing? I don't know. We've never been here before. There's a sense of adventure. Wow, look how big it is. Have you ever? And the Grand Canyon is a classic example. You see lots of pictures of the Grand Canyon, but when you go there, you're amazed at how big it is. The picture somehow cannot communicate, even though you're looking at the same width of the picture. It's just not quite the same as standing on the edge. And there's also a little bit of caution, isn't there? It's a long way to the bottom. And we don't want to get too close to the edge. We can't get to the edge of New Year's Eve just yet. We got another almost 72 hours to wait for it to come to us. Sadly, far too many people think they can go to the edge. And do you realize that of the 12 deaths that happened this year at the Grand Canyon, they were all attributed to people taking a selfie all the way down to the bottom? It's true. So when we get to the edge, especially if it's something that maybe we took a climb, we took a hike up to Pikes Peak, and now here we are. We come to the edge of the Grand Canyon, we come to the edge of the cliffs of Moher, to the edge of the Western Pacific. You know, we're just we're just stunned. We're stunned into a silence because we just have to stand there and go, oh my gosh. And we don't think of coming into the new year quite that way. And yet, when you stop and think about it, when you wake up at whatever time it is on New Year's Day, you should have that same sort of feeling like, wow, a whole new year. It's like pristine snowfall. Nobody's put a footmark in it yet. You have no idea what that year holds. Oh, you may have some plans and hopes and dreams. Yes, all of that. But we need to stand there for a minute and just allow the stillness. Because in reality, like I said a minute ago, we can't go any farther till we get there, right? We are on solid ground, and slowly but surely, the edge is coming toward us, even as we're coming toward it. And so there's decisions to make as we come to the edge about how is it that we will go forward. Say you did take a hike up to Pikes Peak, and it's a one-way trail. Well, how are you going to get back down? You have to stop, reflect, pause, and ponder, and then take action. If we saw New Year's Day, especially, in that same light, we wouldn't be so disappointed with our lives. There's sort of the unfolding mystery that we stand in awe of in that moment on that day. See, what happens in this burning bowl ceremony, this ritual, is that we allow ourselves a time, which we will in a few minutes, to literally burn on a slip of paper, and hopefully I've got mine, a half a Post-it, and you burn the things that you don't want to bring into the new year. But here is the blunt and ugly truth. We don't like change, and quite frankly, we think we're ready to let it go, but we are not ready to go. So the release is a symbolic act that it has a lot of meaning and a lot of power. And I think when you take the time, as we're going to kind of ask ourselves some inner questions, I want to get your mind and your heart sort of cooking before we go into this ritual. So that when you come to that place of writing on that slip of paper, it's like, yes, this is something I want to release. This energy, this issue, this memory, this person, this hurt, this whatever it might be, I'm ready to let it go forever. So let's ask ourselves a few questions about our willingness to let it go. Are you so willing to let a person or event go that you will never talk about them again? Think about that. That neighbor that when somebody says, isn't your neighbor? Yes, that person. They just drive me crazy. And you go, zip. I promised I would let them go. That thought about that person that hurt me or the time I made a mistake. Zip. I'm really going to let it go. We talk about healing. Oh, I let go of all illness and I let go of it. And then the way we talk about our bodies continues to perpetuate illness. Oh, this old thing, I just drag it around every day. It's just getting older and grayer every single day. I'm not really ready to let it go, am I? And in all honesty, you could probably tear the paper in half and half again. Because the behaviors and our behavioral patterns are things that we have invested energy in, being right, being in control, and we are not so vested in letting them go. Let me ask you another question. Where did your energy go this year? What did you learn about the trials and difficulties that you faced? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about others? What were the milestones in your life? The big birthdays, the injuries, the illness, the trips, the whatever? Special projects or events you participated in. How did you feel about that participation? Say, for example, last week we were doing the Christmas baskets. Did you sign up to show up? And did you? And did you help? Well, that's a good feeling, but maybe you didn't. And then you're feeling kind of guilty about that. We've got to let those feelings on both sides go. Did you invest in people who took your energy rather than reciprocated? We all have those friends. And sometimes it's not just a friendship, but it may be a group. I've been going to that group for so long now. I just dread going. It's the fourth Wednesday of every, and well, then why are we going? Or if we love the people, which oftentimes is more the case than the group itself, we love the people. Can we somehow shift it? Say, can we start a new book, or can we do a new thing here this year and reinvest energy differently? Because the edge is about releasing, isn't it? We can't fly if we're heavy. The hurt, the unforgiveness, unforgiveness of myself as well as others. The missed opportunities, that fear of missing out, FOMO. This came to me this past year on our trip to Sicily. I always sit in a certain seat on the bus because I want to take pictures out the window. And I have learned about polarizing on the window and all that stuff you really don't care about. Anyway, I thought I had planned for where the ocean was going to be, but somehow we turned a different way. And instead of being on the right-hand side, which I had anticipated it would be, it was on the left. Now I'm getting really frustrated. I can't stand up because it was really kind of a coastal, rocky, rugged road. And that was a little bit dangerous to try and stand up. And the seats on that side were all full. And I couldn't get any pictures of the ocean. I was so frustrated. Then one of the guys who was sitting on my side said, I tell you what, you guys, let's just all take pictures because you guys are over on the ocean side and we're over here and we'll just swap pictures. And I sat down on the seat and I thought, wait a minute. Those are your pictures. Those are your interpretations of what has happened. Now, I may take exactly the same picture from the exact same position, but it's not mine, the vision of my creative energy. And then I was able to let it go. Then I wasn't missing. What I was missing out on was this side of the road that I wasn't taking any pictures of because I was so obsessed with that side of the road. And how many times have you done that? You're so obsessed with that side of the road, whatever road it is in your life, that you miss out on everything. We're so obsessed about coming into this new year and it's a new start and it's a new thing. But in reality, every day you open your eyes is to engage the infinite mystery and all possibilities again, anew. And yet I wished I was over there waiting for the new year instead of looking at what's right out my window. Releasing isn't a loss, my friends. It is a freedom. It is a freedom. So, about some questions on self-reflection. Have I forgiven myself for my mistakes and my shortcomings? Got to work on that one. Have I forgiven my body for aging, for getting a little grayer? Have I dishonored it? Have I discounted it? Need to work on that one. Have I taken life for granted? Have I forgot that today is a mystery unfolding with all possibility? Need to work on that one a little more too. Am I too self-absorbed? Am I too critical and too judgmental? Might have to work on some of those too. And something for me this year has really, it is a struggle for me right now, is that, remember back in May, my husband and I took my dream trip, was this trip to Europe for a month. And every time I look at the pictures or every time I think about it, it's just like, that was the best. That was the best ever. Well, if it's the best ever, then how am I going to experience the best ever that lies ahead of me? Bruce Springsteen said it's the glory days. They've passed you by, and you're standing there looking back all the time, when in fact, there's a new vista out in front of you. Sometimes it's a lot harder to release than we think. So it gets more complicated, doesn't it? But you see, when you do tap into the things that you truly are willing to let go of, to really do the work, it isn't in one flash moment, right? You have to kind of work at it a little bit. But the good news is you can always tell when you've hit it, because the gift of grace lifts you up and reminds you, oop, you've released, oop, wait a minute, I've released that. Okay. So do not discount the power of what is about to happen. On the second part of our ritual today, we of course do the letter to God. And again, as we stand on this edge, this precipice of a new year, the time of reflection, what have we learned about the people and about ourselves? Opportunities and circumstances that brought us right here. See, we are a sum total. We're a whole book with chapters left to write, but chapters that are already filled. You know how in a good movie or a good book they build the character. Well, that's what our life is doing. It's building our character. Reflection. Do we have gratitude? Have we deepened this year our sense of gratitude? It seems to me that when the people that I've encountered who've had some really hard lives, they have more passion for the future and for the present, for that matter. They're more willing to sacrifice. They're more committed. This past year, for me personally, I've never really struggled with my health. I've always been a healthy person. But this past year, I've had the opportunity to know about a health challenge. And it's interesting, as I come into this new year, how much more committed I am to my health than I was in the past. How much more clear I'm becoming that, Marianne, you just can't let this thing drift. You really have to be intentional. And then there's that anticipation, the planning that we do. Oh, I have a book already filled with my goals and objectives. They're all color-coded. Oh, God, they're beautiful. And I haven't touched any of them yet. But there's special moments that I'm looking forward to. And we gather our resources, both inner and outer, as we set it down with pen and paper. The edge is about vision, isn't it? How do I see myself now? And how do I see myself, or how do I want to see myself a year from now? That's why I like when we keep these letters for 11 months, because then when you open that letter in November of next year, you go, really? Wow, was that what I was praying for? Or it's like, I never even thought that would happen to me this past year. And now I see how it all unfolded. And there still may be things that I want, or goals and objectives from last year that I'm bringing forward to this year. For example, health. I don't know about you, but every year I write, I want good health on my goals and objectives. But maybe this year I need to say it differently. The ugly truth is the years of my bikini body, which I never had, are over. But what I want now, instead of just good health, I want strength and I want stamina. That's a little bit different. How do I build up the strength in my body and have the stamina to do the things I want to do without tiring or injuring myself? In the end, the edge is holy ground. We're standing. Oh my gosh, I just love these couple of days right before New Year's Eve. It's such a sacred spot. It's where we meet ourselves and our purpose and our creator. It's where we say goodbye to that year and we bless it and we embrace it and we're grateful for it, even as we stand at that edge that we're not ready to take the forward step toward, but we are just seeing the vast screen ahead of us, the vistas that have no end. How far and how possible is it all? So here's our process. Right now, we're going to start a meditation. And then I will invite you at the end of that meditation for a time to write on your slip. Those of you in the sanctuary, hold it to the end, and at the end of the service, you will go out on the patio and burn it. Those of us on Zoom, I invite you to fold it in half, but I truly want you to burn it because there's something about the essence of watching it burn that's extremely powerful in the releasing process. Then we will write our letter to God, and we will have no peace song at the end, no circle at the end. You will simply go outside and hold the space of peace and don't talk to each other. Sometimes we are uncomfortable with silence, and so we want to chat, and we rob the other people of their time of silence. So simply just walk out, go to the fire and burn it. Maybe even come back into the sanctuary and just sit for a minute and just be grateful. So now I invite you to put distractions aside, the pens, the pencils, the papers, the everything that you got, and to really get comfortable in that chair. To begin to slowly breathe. Let the body relax. Let your eyes gently close. Let the attention float on the inhale of the breath to the very center of your heart, to the holy and sacred place where we meet God alone in silence. Living Spirit of God, the breath of life that we breathe, here we sit, open, willing to cooperate with your healing grace. We ask for the courage to step forward into the new year, free of the baggage of the past. As we gently breathe in, we make room for the presence of God, trusting in the inflow to soothe us, to strengthen us. Gently releasing the breath and all that we believe holds us back from receiving the new year. And as we rest in the quiet, we release our focus on anything other than the guidance and direction of Spirit. We listen deeply. We listen carefully. We stand on the edge of release and renewal. We listen in the innermost part of our heart. We ask you to reveal to each one of us, what is it that we're holding on to? And breathe in a little deeper. Reveal to us, O Holy Mystery. Search us in the innermost depths of our being. You know us even in the places where we don't know ourselves. What pain holds on to us? The expectations of others, the pain we have caused them, the disappointment, the betrayal. And what success, past glory keeps us from entering the new year, always looking back, never forward. In order to step forward in hope, we must let go of the baggage of emotions that weigh us down. Reveal what needs to be revealed, and change what needs to be changed. God longs with a ceaseless longing to perfect us, to refine the rough edges of our soul, to breathe more life into our life. Willingness is all that is being asked of us to cement our attention of the heart. And the Spirit within asks each of us, do you really want to be changed by turning it over to God? We stand on the edge. Our deepest desire is to fly free, unencumbered by the past, hopeful for the future, rooted in the willingness to grow in grace and gratitude. Let the paper take your burdens. Feel them being removed from your shoulders. Let them go. Let them go. Bless your list. The revelations which have come from this inner work have blessed you with understanding and an awakening of your inner self. And so now I invite you to open your eyes, to quietly write upon your release slip that which has been revealed to be released in order for you to experience a rebirth, to be truly changed at depth. So fold your paper in half and place it nearby so you can release it into the fire at the end of our service. Now we shift. We stand freer, expectant, looking out at the broad vista that is ahead of us. And so we're going to write a letter to God. And if you are, and I hope that you, on the envelope, mail it back to yourself. And those of us who are on Zoom, we put it in a place where you won't really see it for a while. Myrtle Fillmore, our co-founder, used to say, place it in the Bible like you're placing it in the hands of God. And that's where I put mine until November of next year. So I invite you to just sit down and just, you're free. So free. And now anything is possible. So as you hold that paper in your lap, before you write, it's important that remember that you're in the flow of spirit. It's not necessary to stop and edit. Nobody's going to read the wrong semicolon. Simply allow the flow as if your hand was taking a dictation from God, because in a lot of respects it is. Taking a breath and affirming that I am open and receptive to guidance and instruction. I am open and receptive. I am open and receptive to your living spirit of life. Oh, holy birther, mother of all, today a tiny seed of new life has been planted within our hearts. We trust in its purpose. We are open to its unfolding energy within our being. We are willing to listen to your still, small voice. And so I invite you now to write your listenings. And when you are finished, place your letter in the envelope and seal it, and we will collect them at the end of service. So you've completed a beautiful, meaningful ritual. And yet you still stand at the edge. You still look out over the vast vista. And I always love to end the Burning Bowl service with a quote from Rainer Marie Rilke, who reminds us that do not seek the answers which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything, to live the questions now. Jesus said, let your hearts not be troubled, neither let them be afraid. As we move into this new year, let us be bold and brave. We have come to the edge of a chapter in our lives, and now we are open to turning the page of life's great adventure. In the silence of the moment, I invite you to exit the sanctuary for the Burning Bowl service. Continuation for those of us online, I thank you for being with me this afternoon and to hold your gift, to burn your sheet of paper literally, and to know that the new year is upon us as a rich blessing in the fullness of life. Thank you and God bless.